Good morning, everybody. I'm Councillor Les Fry, representing Dorset West. Before we start, we now need to elect a chair for the meeting. Do I have a proposal from one of the members of the subcommittee, please?
Yes, I'd like to propose Councillor Les Fry.
And I'll second that.
Thank you both. I'm happy to continue. I'd now like to do some introductions, please, and my fellow councillors are on my left.
Councillor John Andrews from Sherborne.
Councillor Kate Weller, Rodwell and White Regis.
Thank you both. I'd now like the council officers to introduce themselves, starting with the committee clerk, please, and then we'll go round.
David Northover, committee clerk.
I'm Laura Autry. I'm from Legal Services with Dorset Council and will provide legal advice to the subcommittee if they need it.
Catherine Miller, Senior Licensing Officer and author of the report.
Thank you, everybody. I now ask the parties and their representatives in attendance to introduce themselves, please, if you'd like to introduce yourselves. So if we start for the lady first, please. If you press the button there, when the right goes...
I'm Charlotte Barden-Lees.
I'm Susan Lees.
I'm Daniel Lees from Sweet Hill Farm.
Thank you. And we have no responsible authorities attending today, is that correct?
Right, Chairman, yes.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm now going to ask the licensing lead to outline the case, please.
Thank you, Chairman. This hearing is to consider a new premises licence application for Sweet Hill Farm on Portland. The applicant has applied for supply of alcohol on and off the premises, Monday to Saturday, 12 noon to 2300 hours, and Sunday, 12 noon to 1600 hours. Dorset Police have requested some additional conditions which the applicant has agreed to, and these can be found at Appendix 2. We also received 2 representations against the application from the members of the public, and these are at Appendix 3. I'd like to remind members that the options available to them today are to grant a licence subject to such conditions as the authority considers appropriate for the promotion of the licence objectives and the mandatory conditions, to exclude from the scope of the licence any licensable activities to which the application relates, to refuse to specify a person in the licence as a designated premises supervisor, or to reject the application. Thank you.
Thank you very much. One thing I did miss earlier, do we have any declarations of interest on this case? No. Thank you very much. Okay. I'm now going to ask, do we have any questions for the licensing officer at this time? Do you have any questions at all at this time? No. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm now going to ask the people to comment, the applicants, please, if you'd like to speak on your case.
I think the objections that we read, one of them wasn't relevant to our site. It was an evening that was held by a TENS that was just on the field behind, and unfortunately it occurred the same night that we had an event that finished at about 10:30, 11:15, but theirs continued until sometime like 1:30, 2 o'clock. So the residents believed that it was our property, but it wasn't. It was happening on the field behind. And the other objection, I think, is to do with the school and some children. I think that he was just concerned about the well-being of the children. Obviously, our campsite is run during the summer holidays mostly, and the times that we'd be closing are generally 10:30, because our campsite has a quiet policy itself. So I don't believe that we would be acting irresponsibly with regards to the school and the children. We've got small children ourselves, so most of the time the events that we have are family run. We have some live music and some decent food, and generally close quite early. Can I add to that? No?
So thank you very much. I've read the report and I visited the farm this morning. So I drove around and it was very peaceful, I have to say. But I see in the application it says seasonal. Now, that's a bit bland to me because occasional is very bland, but seasonal kind of like there's 4 seasons. So I'm just wondering if you can be more specific, but you probably open the campsite at Christmas and New Year, do you? Because what a lovely spot to come down and camping, I have to say. So seasonal's a little bit wishy-washy to me. So if you could be a bit more specific in when you're going to open or when the license, and if you want it all year, then you have it all year. But you know, if you're not going to be specific, you can't put kind of like seasonal in there because there's 4 seasons.
I think seasonal being our campsite runs from February half term until October half term. I guess the only option, the extras that we might look for is if somebody wanted a wedding or an event that would need to cover an alcohol licence. We've just started working with B-Side, and they want to come and talk and do a fireside talk about the land and the history of Portland and whether people would enjoy a drink around the campfire in that sense, I think, out of season. But where it's quite new to us, I'm not sure whether we would need a licence 12 months of the year. So,
Thanks for that. The other bit I was going to say, so music-wise, you're not intending to have any live or amplified music there throughout the year. That would have been one of my concerns with not that the residents nearby are too local, because it's a bit of a windy track to get up to your place, isn't it? So yeah, it was. So that was the only other concern, whether you were going to, and if you do, you could always apply for a 10s. Am I right in saying that?
They can apply for 10, but you also need to bear in mind that they'll fall under the Live Music Act as well, if there's less than 500 people in the audience. So they wouldn't need to have the licensable activity on the licence up to 11 o'clock at night. But yes, they could also apply for 10s if they wanted to go later. Yeah.
This is just a little bit of background for me, really, more than anything else. You've got the equestrian set up there, and that's going really quite well, isn't it? Do a lot of your campers come in order to take part? I'm just wondering whether you do a gymkhana and you would then have an event after a gymkhana over a weekend, or so I'm trying to get an idea of the sort of people that you're having there. I don't mean sort of people, I mean the people that you're attracting as opposed to who would be attracted to somewhere else. And also, I've just lost my thread. So is it sort of at gymkhana events that you want to extend a little bit? And the numbers, I don't know how many camping sites you actually have on the area, how many people are camping, and then how many people you would be expecting to attend one of your events, because presumably it won't only be your campers, there'll be people living around South Hill who would come as well. So what are your numbers in that respect?
We don't expect to hold public gymkhanas at all. We have recently held a natural horsemanship clinic that was attended by 80 people. And what was the rest of the question?
The sorts of people that have been coming, the maximum that we found worked for us was 250 people camping. And a third, roughly, from the covers that we were doing with the food trailer, is roughly about a third of those would come and eat. We had quite a nice turnout of locals this last weekend. I think because we had Hannah's Kitchen cooking and we had a local band, so it's a collaboration of different people that want to come and enjoy the food, the music, and then there's the sporty people. So really we've been seeing a bigger turnout for climbers, riders, and families that are activity seeking, you know, so they like the riding, they like the food, they like to be out, and then they come back and they sit around, we've got tables there and they sit around, the children can play. So it's quite a sporty feel. It doesn't feel like a nightclub. It feels like a nice family area, and it's very activity based. The climbers are coming thick and fast from Bristol and Brighton, and yeah, it's sport. But they call it Sportland, not Portland. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlotte, we've let you speak. Does Susan or Daniel want to say anything else at the moment? There is an objection about the football match there. Was that yours? That was over, thank you.
And then they had the hotel as well. But they had their own separate event license for the field where they had their events, they had the actual events happening, and then in the evening they had their own bar. And that's where the confusion came, because the sound obviously travelled from where we are. And we had a live band until about 10:30, 11:15, and then they carried on with their own event anyway behind us. So there was the confusion there.
About the seasonal campsite. But you're asking for a license for the whole year, but you're describing yourself as a seasonal campsite. That means you just open during the summer months, really. Are you doing Christmas and New Year and that time of the year?
We haven't had a chance to experience that yet. I mean, any ideas that we've had are hindered by the weather because it is so exposed. And there's, you know, we can't open the food trailer. We can't even open the hatches when it's windy up there. So it is difficult for us to have any kind of plans for the winter at the moment. That's the only thing. So yeah, the campsite closes end of October, half term, when it gets really bad. Thank you.
What sort of experience do any of you have of running licensed premises?
I've not run a licensed premises, but I've always worked in catering. My granddad was a publican. That's about as far as it goes, but I've done the course. I've got my exam next week. And we've obviously had this year with the TENS licenses. So we've kind of gauged how many people we have on site, how many people are coming, and the atmosphere that's being created by the live music and the food.
The police have recommended a number of conditions on there. And I see that you've agreed to all those conditions there. The one thing about the Licensing Act, which I personally like, is that it's very responsive. And if people do make complaints which can be substantiated, then your license could, if granted, could be challenged. What are your thoughts on that?
I think we're quite responsible in the community. We're all self-employed. We've all been self-employed ever since we left university, and I think that the community is the biggest factor for us, that we want to be involved and include people. And we work with the school already 1 day a week volunteering, so they come over and farm with us, and we employ local people to come and cook, and the local bands, and I think that community aspect is the one thing that we will act upon, you know, and keep happy and involved in. Thank you.
Have you engaged with the community through the application process for this license? Are they aware? And what plans do you have if this license should be granted to engage in the future?
Sorry, I've got a bit of a chest. I think you got to build, you know, we want to build a good relationship with the community. Maybe, you know, if we can let people know by writing to them, posting letters through the door if we're gonna hold an event there, you know, if we're gonna hold a music event there. And also, I mean, I don't drink alcohol at all. And, you know, I'm completely teetotal. So I'm always on hand for communication with people and to build decent sort of relationships if needs be. Yeah, I just think good relationships. You know, there's lots of social networks on you know, on Facebook, so we can let people know as well what's happening, so people know. And also, I think you know, our active role and what we've done with our TENS license is we've stopped the music at 10:30. We haven't let it, we haven't pushed it. We've always we've had respect for local people, you know, the Sweet Hill Road residents. We've had lots of Sweet Hill Road residents, they came last weekend. You know, they were enjoying it. You know, the people that have made the complaints are the people at the top of Sweet Hill Road. So, again, you know, we're not an aggressive family. We want to build decent relationships. And if we have to be more sensitive or whatever, we will act. We will take action on it. You know, that's we've always taken action, haven't we? Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. These buttons take a bit of getting used to, don't they? Pressing them. That's all right. Do you have a social media presence? Have you thought, should this license be granted, of publicising a phone number that anybody, should there be a complaint, that could contact you and get a response from?
It's on our Instagram page, Facebook page, and our website. Contact numbers.
And also at the entrance.
At the entrance of
the premises.
You've got what appears to be, looking at the map, quite a large site there. And you've applied for a licence to cover the whole area? Is that reasonable, do you think, and proportionate and necessary?
It was simply because if there was going to be an event or a wedding and we wanted to move the horsebox trailer, it was just on the advice that we were given to cover the whole area. And if people were going to buy their drink and then walk back to their camp, it would cover that too. That was what I was led to believe.
Can I just add? I mean, the other thing as well, some of the parts of the field have more shelter than others. So, say, for example, if somebody wanted to be able to see the lighthouse and they wanted to have a wedding or rent the field or have something right up at the top field, that'd be good on a very good day. But if there was a little bit of breeze and you could come north, back up the field, then there's more shelter from bushes and stuff. So I think it's location and choice dependent on weather because of the winds there.
No questions, but I know the area pretty well, and it is very blowy. I always feel I need to be tied down when I go up there. So yes, I think those are valid.
Thank you. Do you have any questions or anything else you would like to say at this time? No. Okay. Do you have any questions at all?
No, I don't know, Chairman. I don't.
Have we covered everything we need to cover, do you think? Thank you very much. Okay, we will now go into exempt business. In fact, let's sum up the case if you want. Do you want to sum up?
No, I haven't got anything further to add, thank you.
Do you have anything further you would like to say at this time? Happy? Thank you. We will advise when the subcommittee, when the decision will be confirmed in writing. That will be within 5 days. And you do have 21 days to appeal to a magistrates' court if you're unhappy with the decision. Okay? We want now go into exempt business.